You don't remember applying, but you were accepted. It felt like access, like you'd finally been seen. Everything around you started aligning too perfectly. Small patterns repeated, just enough to notice. People spoke like they were reading, not thinking. You tried to ignore it, but it didn't ignore you. The more you paid attention, the quieter everything else became. That's when you realized this wasn't opportunity, it was containment. And by then, you were already inside. Level 1, the recruitment. You don't remember. You arrive already seated. The chair is cold, metallic, fixed to the floor. Your hands rest on your knees, positioned too precisely to feel natural. Across from you, a wall of dark glass reflects the room, but not clearly enough to confirm if it's a reflection or a window. There is no memory of entering, only the awareness that you're here. Around you, others sit in identical chairs, evenly spaced. No one speaks. A few blink slower than usual, as if syncing to something. Unseen. One person adjusts their posture at the exact same moment, another does. No signal exchanged. Above, a faint hum, ventilation, or something layered beneath it. Screens activate without warning. Each displays fragments, home videos, street corners, conversations, moments from your life. Except some sequences cut too early, others linger too long. One clip shows you reacting before the event happens. You watch closely. Not the footage, but the timing. A door opens behind you. You don't turn. Neither does anyone else. Footsteps, measured. Consistent. A voice follows, neutral, controlled. Remain attentive. Instructions will be provided. The same sentence echoes from a speaker in the ceiling, perfectly synced. No variation, no human delay. You notice the camera is then not obvious, but placed where attention naturally avoids. Corners, edges, reflections. Watching, but more importantly recording. Measuring. A soft tone plays. Not loud. Just enough. Everyone stands. No hesitation. Number. Confusion. Chairs scrape the floor in unison. You stand too. Half a second later. No one reacts, but something registers. The tone stops. Silence returns. And without being told, you understand. This isn't orientation. It's already begun. You stop asking why you're here. You start paying attention to what happens next. Level 2, learning the rules that aren't written. You stop looking for instructions. Instead, you watch outcomes. The room changes throughout the day. Lighting shifts slightly. Seating arrangements adjust. Screens activate without announcement. No one explains why. But patterns begin to form if you pay attention long enough. A man 2 seats away speaks when no prompt is given. His voice is steady, controlled, almost rehearsed. No one interrupts him. The next time the room resets, his chair is empty. No acknowledgement. No question. Later, a woman remains silent during a direct prompt. She holds eye contact for exactly 3 seconds, then looks down. Nothing happens. Immediately. Hours later, she's moved closer to the front. No one reacts. You begin tracking these movements not with notes, but with timing. Cause and effect rarely align directly. The system delays consequences just enough to obscure the connection. You adjust. When spoken to, you answer with precision. Not too fast, not too slow. You match tone, not content. You hold eye contact just long enough to register, then disengage before it becomes resistance. No feedback is given, but nothing negative follows. That becomes your signal. Conversations begin forming in fragments, short exchanges, half sentences. People speak around ideas instead of stating them. You mirror the behavior, testing without appearing to test. Trust isn't built here, it's simulated. You start noticing who watches more than they speak, who reacts too quickly, who never reacts at all. Gradually, the room loses its identity as a group. It becomes a system of moving parts, inputs, outputs, adjustments. You stop, assigning personalities. You start identifying patterns, and somewhere between observation and imitation, something shifts. Your responses become cleaner, more efficient, less visible. The system doesn't acknowledge you, but it stops correcting you, and that tells you everything. You're no longer trying to understand the rules. You're starting to operate within them. Level 3, becoming useful to the system. You're no longer placed in the room with everyone else. Instead, you're moved between environments, smaller spaces, controlled variables, fewer participants. The instructions are minimal, sometimes a single sentence, sometimes just a screen with a name and a timer counting down. No objective is stated, but the outcome becomes clear through repetition. Someone hesitates. You adjust your tone. Someone dominates. You redirect attention. You're not told to lead, but the room begins to follow you. At first, it's subtle. A shift in posture when you speak. A pause before others respond. Then it becomes measurable. Decisions align with your suggestions. even when you don't frame them as instructions. No acknowledgement is given, but your position in the room changes. You're seated closer to the center. Doors open for you before others arrive. Screens activate earlier when you enter. Information reaches you first, never directly, but always in time to act. You start noticing separation. Some participants remain in observation cycles, repeating tasks, reacting, being adjusted. Others, like you, are moved. Used to create outcomes inside controlled groups. You test boundaries carefully. A delayed response. A conflicting suggestion. A moment of silence where direction is expected. The system doesn't intervene. It records and adapts around you. Then you notice them. Participants who don't scan the room, who don't hesitate, who don't adjust, they initiate. Without effort, without visibility. They're not reacting to the system. They're aligned with it. You begin to understand. Your role isn't to follow instructions. It's to shape behavior without being seen doing it. And once that becomes consistent, the system stops guiding scenarios. It starts watching what you create. Level 4, access to power without permission. You're no longer assigned roles. You enter rooms without instruction, and nothing stops you. Doors unlock before you reach them. Screens activate without prompts. Participants adjust their posture when you arrive, not consciously, but consistently. No one announces your position, but the environment responds to you. You begin initiating interactions. A question placed at the right moment shifts the direction of a discussion. A pause, slightly longer than expected, forces someone else to fill the silence. You don't correct them, you let the outcome form, and then you watch. Groups reorganize around minor changes. Decisions bend without resistance. The system doesn't interfere. It records the efficiency. You test limits carefully. You introduce conflicting information to two individuals and observe how it spreads. You remove yourself from a decision point and track who assumes control. You reinforce one behavior, ignore another. Patterns emerge. Some participants adapt quickly, mirroring tone, adjusting posture, aligning with your rhythm. Others resist subtly, holding eye contact longer, delaying responses by fractions of a second. And some don't respond at all. Those are the ones you track, because they're not reacting to you. They're observing you. You begin to notice outcomes that create instability, confusion, hesitation. Minor conflict are not corrected if they remain contained. In some cases, access expands afterward. Doors open sooner. Information arrives earlier. No reward is stated. But the system shifts in your favor. The room grows quieter over time. Movements become deliberate. Conversations shorten. Nothing is wasted. You stop thinking in terms of right or wrong, only clean or inefficient. And somewhere in that shift, a realization settles in place. You're not navigating the system anymore. You're influencing how it behaves. And once that becomes consistent, your attention moves past the participants, toward whatever is shaping all of this. Level 5, the ones who designed the game. You stop focusing on people. Patterns start appearing elsewhere. A scenario you've seen before repeats, but not exactly. The same structure, different participants. The same tension point, adjusted timing. Outcomes shift slightly, but never outside a narrow range. You begin anticipating moments before they happen. Not because you're faster, because they've already been decided. You test it. You delay a response where action is expected. The room adjusts subtly at first. Another participant fills the gap almost on cue. The scenario corrects itself without instruction, as if it was guided back on track. You start looking for where that correction comes from. Not in people. In the environment. There are rooms no one enters, yet systems update from within them. Screens display data that disappears when revisited. Timelines shift, small details rewriting themselves without announcement. You notice access points that don't respond to you. For the first time, something remains closed. Not locked. Ignored. You pass by one of these doors repeatedly. No markings, no cameras visible. Yet every nearby system feels quieter, as if observation is happening without presence. Then you see the structure. Profiles not just behavioral but predictive. Individuals map not by what they've done, but by what they're likely to do next. Adjustments made before actions occur. You weren't reacting faster, you were moving along a predicted path. Even your deviations fit within it. The system isn't waiting for decisions, it's shaping them before they're made. And standing there, watching outcomes align without effort, a single thought forms clear, unforced. If all of this is designed, then what exactly is it trying to find? And more importantly, where does it end? Level 6, the exit that was always there. You stop optimizing, not enough to be noticed, just enough to shift the pattern. When a response is expected, you delay but not consistently. When silence would be efficient, you speak but without direction. Your timing loses precision. Your actions stop aligning with predicted outcomes. At first, nothing changes. The system continues as before. Rooms reset. Participants adjust. Scenarios unfold within their usual boundaries, but something beneath it hesitates. You see it in the delays barely measurable. A screen takes half a second longer to update. A participant receives no immediate counter-adjustment. A sequence pauses before correcting itself. Not broken, just uncertain. You continue. You stop reinforcing influence. You allow decisions to unfold without interference. Where control is possible, you withdraw. Where efficiency is expected, you introduce noise. Not chaos, just inconsistency. For the first time, the system doesn't guide around you. It waits. You begin noticing spaces you ignored before. Doors that were always present but never relevant. Hallways that didn't connect to any task. Corners without cameras, or at least none you can detect. You approach one of the doors. No panel, no lock, no instruction. Before, it held no purpose. Now it holds no resistance. You push. It opens without sound. No alert follows. No voice corrects you. No one turns. Behind you, the system continues perfectly structured, perfectly contained, unaffected. You step through. The environment changes immediately. No screens, no observation points, no controlled variables, just space unstructured, undefined. You wait. Nothing happens. No confirmation, no evaluation, no final instruction. And standing there, with no response from the system you spent all this time navigating, the conclusion settles quietly. It was never holding you inside. It was measuring how long you would stay. You take another step forward. Behind you, everything continues. Ahead of you, nothing is defined. And somewhere within that absence, one final realization remains. Some never leave. Not because they're trapped, because they never stop playing.